After years in development and controversies galore, The Flash is finally sprinting into theaters, with way more characters and way more Batman than even the rumor mill expected. Here are the details in the big game trailer and TV spot that may have run right past you. The Flash trailer features appearances from Batfleck and Michael Keaton as their respective iterations of The Dark Knight, which will undoubtedly please fans of the Snyderverse and Tim Burton's Batman. That said, while it's exciting to see these fine actors back in action, their trailer cameos only confirm returns we've known about for months. But are they the only Batman in the trailer? As of this video, it is unknown if Robert Pattinson and Christian Bale will return as Batman and the Flash. The rumors have been rampant for months, but the trailer may have lent some meat to speculation. 11 seconds into the teaser, there's a shot of Gotham's resident hero soaring down the street on his Batcycle. This part is interesting as the street in question is located in Glasgow, Scotland. Both the Batman and The Dark Knight Rises use the Scottish city for some of their respective Gotham City sequences. To be more specific, George Square is the Glasgow location featured in the trailer. This street just so happened to be used in the Batman. Sure, using the same location might be coincidental, but let's not rule out the possibility of Pattinson or Bale making an appearance. Batman has had his share of iconic live-action theme songs over the years, but the top of the heap could very well be the theme music composed by Danny Elfman for the 1989 Batman film directed by Tim Burton. That version of the Caped Crusader, played by Michael Keaton, appears to offer help to the Flash in his battle across alternate timelines. And just in case Keaton's distinctive growl and cowl weren't enough, the music that accompanies his on-screen entrance in the trailer is none other than a rendition of that distinctive Elfman score. Keaton is featured quite prominently in the trailer for The Flash, and it's exciting enough for fans of his turns as Bruce Wayne in Batman and Batman Returns to see him return once more to the role. The addition of his theme music is just a cherry on top of the brooding crime-fighting Sunday. Back in late November, amid questions about which, if any, of Zack Snyder's Justice League cast members would make the cut of James Gunn's and Peter Safran's new DC universe, rumors circulated that the Flash film would be heavily edited to remove all references to the Snyderverse to avoid making promises they didn't intend to keep. For a brief moment, it appeared as though these cuts would mean the omission of Ben Affleck's Batman, who was previously announced to appear. Thankfully, it seems that he not only made the final cut, but looks to be getting a pretty substantial amount of screen time. As Bruce Wayne, likely early on in the film, he warns Barry about the dangers of tampering with time. Later on in the trailer, we get a good look at his brand new Batsuit. It appears to be a combination of the Snyder Justice League design and some comic book influences, most likely inspired by the Batman Hush era from 2002. The book was drawn by iconic Batman artist Jim Lee and featured a gray and blue costume very similar to what Affleck's Batman can be seen wearing in the trailer. One of the most critical aspects of the Flashpoint timeline is the altered path the character of Superman takes. While Kal-El is the big hitter of the Justice League in the main DC continuity, in the Flashpoint storyline he landed in Metropolis. He spent his entire life living in a science lab, being studied by shadowy government entities. It isn't until the end of the story, when Flash, Cyborg, and Thomas Wayne as Batman discover his location and break him out of the lab, that it becomes a big part of the climax. Of course, with the DCEU all but dead and Henry Cavill's departure as the franchise's Superman, a different path needed to be taken. This is where Sasha Calle comes in, taking on the role of Supergirl. The trailer gives us our first real look at the character, seeing her looking emaciated first and then introducing herself after our two Barrys break her out of the lab. Last but not least, we see her flying next to the Barrys in an aircraft, showing off her new supersuit. While we know there are some significant differences from the comic version to the film version, including multiple Batman, multiple Barry Allens, and Supergirl, there still seems to be enough evidence of a faithful adaptation.
What did you do?
The Flash Super Bowl trailer reveals actions have consequences, and one of the deadliest Snyderverse baddies, General Zod, returns because of Barry Allen's time-traveling antics. At just over a minute into the trailer, Barry witnesses a transmission similar to the one Zod broadcast while searching for Kal-El in Man of Steel. The footage suggests that the Flash has returned to that same point in time, and as a result, resurrected one of Superman's greatest adversaries, or simply encountering an alternate reality version of himself. After that, the Kryptonian world engine wreaks havoc, as it did in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Barry exclaims, quote, "I completely broke the universe." The very next shot reveals Zod aboard a Kryptonian attack ship as plumes of smoke and fire rise from the ashes of a war zone below. Zod says as another Kryptonian vessel approaches, "We've been waiting for you," but who is he speaking to? It's unclear, but Zod's attack force lays waste to the human soldiers desperately trying to fight back. After 2 minutes in the trailer, a Kryptonian ship hovers above what appears to be the Flash, clashing with either another Barry Allen or perhaps the Reverse Flash. And then right after that, fans are treated to arguably the best shot of the trailer. Supergirl punches an armor-clad Zod right in the face. So did the Flash's arrival in the past lead to Kal-El's death? Whatever Barry did, it's now up to the Girl of Steel to help stop Zod's tyranny. If you know anything about the Flash, then you know that he has a sworn nemesis, one who would do anything to kill him and take the title of fastest man alive for his own. That's right, Eobard Thawne, also known as the Reverse Flash, might be the man behind the curtain, but right now that's just a theory. Known for going back in time and killing Barry's mother, Thawne is vital to the Flashpoint story and has appeared in every adaptation of the story so far, including both live action and animation alike. With all that in mind, it would be surprising if this yellow and red-clad speedster didn't make an appearance in the upcoming movie, and we may have already seen glimpses of him. Besides the brief flashes of the death of Nora Allen that we see in the trailer, there's a strong possibility that the alternate Barry could be the Reverse Flash. In the comics, Thawne wants everything that Barry has, and once even took over the speedster's life. In the original Flashpoint comic, Barry is reinserted into the new timeline after he saves his mother, meaning that the inclusion of the alternate Barry doesn't exactly make sense. Given the alternate Barry's yellow-themed clothing, this may be a nod to his true identity as Thawne, luring Barry into a sense of false security before the final blow. He's been known to steal people's faces before, and his jealousy toward the Flash knows no bounds. Of all the surprises in the Flash Super Bowl TV spot, none were more welcome than all the Batman teases it contained. Probably the most exciting is that we got a glimpse at Michael Keaton's different Batsuits, many designed specifically for the film. In another time, these might have all been made specifically to sell a boatload of toys, but now they're just fabulous nods to bygone eras of the Dark Knight.
Nice suit.
Thanks.
While there are plenty of direct references to previous Batman comics and uniforms, such as the Neil Adams-era Batman with a blue cowl, there's one that stands out above the rest. If you look closely at the Batsuit on the far left, its logo doesn't quite match the others. That's because this is actually the Bat symbol from the original Adam West Batman series. Costume designer Chris Weston confirmed this on Twitter, revealing that the nod to the '66 Batman was completely his idea. Weston explained, "I was in fanboy heaven. Luckily, I had a great lead designer, Alexandra Byrne, who was very receptive to my wacky notions." Along with the nod to the original television Batman, the suit's holsters, which hold grappling guns rather than twin pistols, and the classic Golden Age ears were Weston's idea as well. The longer you look at these highly detailed uniforms, the more you see the comic book influence on them. All this focus on Batsuits is fun and all, but only true fans of the Flash comic books will note the insignia ring that Barry is seen wearing throughout the trailer. In the comics, Barry created a supersuit that could shrink itself into the size of a ring that he would wear, so that he was always prepared to save the day. The suit was a sort of friction-resistant material that kept Barry protected when running at top speeds, and even survived Barry's death during the original Crisis on Infinite Earths comic book miniseries. On the Flash television show, Grant Gustin's Barry Allen eventually gains a Flash ring of his own after years of working on developing one, and in the upcoming feature film, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen seems to be finally doing the same thing. Though he previously wore armor in Justice League, inspired by his look during the New 52 era, Barry has now built himself a new uniform for the Flash, one that's sleeker and better matches his traditional comic book appearance, and most importantly, fits within his Flash ring. Though we only get a few brief glimpses of this Flash ring, it sports the hero's original insignia and opens at the lightning bolt to reveal his new costume underneath. While we'll have to wait to see what the full process looks like, it's exciting to think about this small element of the Flash mythos being translated to the big screen. It's about time. At this point, everybody knows that the catalyst for Bruce Wayne's tenure as Batman is the death of his parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne. It seems as if the death of one's parents or mentor is something of a requirement for DC Comics superheroes, and it looks like The Flash will revolve around this idea also. While Barry is dealing with trying to save his mother from her grisly fate, there's a Batman out there still mourning his parents too.
So why do you want to stay and fight to save this one? Because this is the world where my mom lives.
In a quick moment, we're shown a photograph in Wayne Manor of a young boy with his parents. Given that this photo sits in front of the room that contains all the Batsuits, it's more than likely that this is the Wayne family. As we piece together this photo from the trailer with the shot of Bruce entering his secret chambers from the TV spot, this photo may be the key to the Batcave itself. Fitting, given that Batman was born the night his parents died. In the original Flashpoint story, it's revealed that the Batman of the Flashpoint timeline is actually Thomas Wayne. It was his son Bruce that was killed that night. It's not clear if that's the direction the Flash is taking with this timeline's Batman, but Thomas still has an impact on this fractured world. Here's hoping Keaton's Batman lives up to Thomas's comic book mantle. In the Flashpoint-inspired world of the Flash, Superman no longer exists. After the strange exit of Henry Cavill from the DCEU, it should come as no surprise that Superman isn't slated to appear in The Flash. Taking the Man of Steel's place in this reality-warping story is his cousin, Kara Zor-El. Known in the comics as Supergirl, Kara has been a part of the Superman mythos for almost as long as the Big Blue Boy Scout himself, showing up in various live-action projects before this one. Played by Sasha Calle in the upcoming film, Kara's appearance is more akin to her famous cousin's look rather than her iconic comic book counterpart. Even Melissa Benoist's Girl of Steel from the Supergirl television series looked more like the Kara Zor-El we know from the comics. But just because this Woman of Tomorrow looks a bit different doesn't mean there isn't comic book precedent for it. After all, not every Supergirl sports the long blonde look. Both the Zor-El and Laura Lane Kent versions of Supergirl look remarkably similar to Kaya's version of the character. Zor-El first appeared in Superman the 10-Cent Adventure #1, and eventually revealed herself to be Superman's lost future daughter before being erased from the timeline. Laura Lane Kent made her debut in the Injustice comic series as an imaginary daughter that Superman might have had. Justice League #34 later reveals that in some world, Laura is real, making her the version that Kaye takes the most cues from. Making their debut in the original 1989 Batman, Michael Keaton's old vehicles are also set to return in The Flash, and they look just as cool as ever. While recent films, beginning with Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy, have attempted to make Batman's primary modes of transportation a bit more realistic, Tim Burton's original Batmobile and Batwing were wonderfully impractical. But compared to some of the other Batmobiles of late, the '89 Batmobile had style and even inspired the one from Batman the Animated Series. While Batman's Flying Fox from Justice League is briefly seen, allowing Ben Affleck's Batman to catch his prey, it's Michael Keaton's Batwing that we're most excited to see take flight. The bat-shaped plane formerly flew up against Jack Nicholson's Joker in Batman, but hasn't been seen much since. Here, it looks as if Batwing will serve as some sort of electrical conduit, probably to give the alternate Barry Allen the same Flash superpowers as the original, or if we're following the Flashpoint comics here, maybe it'll help restore Barry's lost abilities. Longtime Bat fans are no doubt already excited about The Flash, but the return of the most iconic-looking members of Batman's vehicular arsenal is even more reason for excitement. After all, the words, "I'm Batman," don't mean too much if there's nothing especially interesting behind them.